really was to
that I felt like I needed, and I was comfortable in that space of just me and God.
It is offensive. Hope is desperate.
Hey, everybody. Welcome. This is Coach Karen. Welcome to Jumpstart Your Vision with Coach Karen Hilton and Pastor Andy Smith. Pastor Andy is our community pastor. He is adjunct professor at Lee University. He is an advisor to some of the most important decision makers in our state. Pastor Andy, what's going on?
Hey, good morning. What a happy Monday, right?
Yes. Monday is my favorite day of the week. If you are joining us for the first time, welcome. This is the place for vision-driven entrepreneurs, workplace leaders, and the mission-driven. Listen, if you have a pulse, you have a purpose, and we exist here to be right here at most Monday mornings, just to kind of give you that jump start to the vision that God has given you. Listen, we believe that faith is the foundation of our success in this community. Now, we recognize that we have a diverse community, so we operate in an environment of dignity and respect, but we believe that faith has been our foundation. It's really been the success and really the reason that Rock Your Vision is even here. We've been around for about 10 years, almost 10 years, going on 10 years, believe it or not, which is cray. But here we are, and we have an incredible community, a diverse community, and dare I say it, a global community. That just blew my mind. And we want to welcome you into the conversation. Today, we have an incredible leader, and our topic is, y'all, this is going to be rough. I'm just going to tell you right now. I need you to like block off your calendar, tell your booze to leave you alone, tell your team you need a minute, because we're going in today. And the topic is what to do when you don't feel supported. Now, I don't know about you, but as long as I have been in this, as long as I have been aware of my God-given vision, it's not always been easy. In fact, sometimes I have felt like I was out there on my own. Okay, y'all remember Irene Cara? Is that too much? Is that too soon? Irene Cara, out here on my own. Now, some of you know where I'm coming from. I may have had a little caffeine this morning, and I apologize in advance. But that was from, was that Fame? Was that the movie?
I believe so.
Andy, I know you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, okay, I apologize, but sometimes it feels like you are on your own, like nobody understands, like nobody's got your back, like nobody's running hard with you. We're going to talk about it today, and I'm just going to set it up for you right now. Some of you are going to lean into this so hard, you are going to find what it is you've been looking for. Some of you are going to hang up on me. And you're going to unfollow us, and I'm okay with that because you need to hear all what we're talking about today. But first, I want to just say good morning and welcome to my roadie, to our community pastor, to this guy right here, the preacher with the reacher, Pastor Andy Smith.
Hey, good morning. You know, Karen, I am so excited about talking about this topic because I think many of us get excited about vision.
Yeah.
And then the moment vision's not affirmed, we question even if the vision was clear or not. And so I think I call this is a going deep subject. This is a going deep topic because this is where you have to grind it out before you share it out, right? You got to know something before you invite somebody into the space. And I think this is where most visions go to die.
Yeah.
And so if we can't grind it out. So I'm super excited to hear kind of from our special guest today and really kind of take a few minutes to dig deep, because if the vision isn't something that I'm married to, any other girlfriend or boyfriend will distract me away from it.
Lord. Here we go, y'all. I'm just saying, this is going to be so good. You guys, I'm so excited about our special guest. But first, I want to welcome all of you that are joining us live. Come on into the chat. We want this to be an interactive session. Jumpstart was designed to give you things you can use today, right? News you can use, we call it. We call them Powerplays. Powerplays are those strategies, tips, and steps that help you take it next level. And it doesn't matter if you do one of them or if you do all of them, right? Powerplays are those things that you can install right away. But Pastor Andy and I have always said, Rock Your Vision is way bigger than us, right? So this is not about just what's happening in our world. We wanted to introduce you to some people that have actually done it. We call them vision casters, vision masters, and vision mentors. These are the people that have really done it. They have walked the walk. They've done all the things that we're talking about. So I'm hoping that you will walk away with something that you can use. So please do not play small. Ask questions. Jump into the chat. Now, one of the things that you're going to have to do this morning is, if you have not already done it, allow StreamYard to see who you are. So when you jump in, click on the screen, y'all. Don't just watch it from afar, because we want to get this thing going, all right? We want to spread the word. So make sure you click on the screen and then allow StreamYard to see your name, because we may shout you out. We do our best to try to get those questions in the feed real time, okay? The second thing I'm going to ask you to do is to share. Share it, share it, share it. Let's get a movement around rocking our vision God's way. Let's get a movement around sharing with other people that you've got community. You don't have to go solo. You don't have to go solo, right? You don't have to go solo. All right. Listen, I'm going to jump into the chat. Pastor Andy is going to help me manage the chat. And I would be remiss if I didn't shout out Coach John Kovaleski. He is in the feed. He is our executive technical producer. He's on the background, so he's going to be helping us get this thing done this morning. So good morning, Coach John. We appreciate you so much. We've got Christy Kent in the house. She's one of our founders, one of our founder community. She's an amazing leader herself. I cannot wait for y'all to meet Christy one of these days. Jessica Banner, good morning. She's dialing all the way from Scotland. I'm going to get this right.
That's right.
Scotland.
Don't get that one wrong. That's right.
Yes, no, Scotland. I got that right this morning. Good morning. Good morning. And we've got Lauren Fushy. Come on, Lauren. Now, that's a woman we got to get in the house with Pastor Debbie Farling. I'm so excited for y'all to meet them. Talk about a vision. They got some things going on over at First and Main. If you are not following them and listening to them in your curation, we're going to talk about that one of these days. As you curate what you listen to, how you renew your mind, go over to your podcast, wherever you get your favorite podcasts, and download First and Main. They are one of our favorites. Download it today. We got Virginia Melina Cross. I'm not going to steal Kim's thunder because she's connected to Kim. And we have Pastor Anika Murray. Pastor Andy, come on.
I'm telling you, I get so excited when either Pastor Anika or Pastor Arnold jump on, because you're about to get an infusion of wisdom. And it's like farmers. They know a thing or two because they've seen a thing or two. You know what I'm saying?
That is not a plug, by the way. That's not a plug, but you got it right. Listen, we need to have Pastor Anika and Pastor Arnold in the house on one of these shows, because again, these are vision masters, people who've walked it. Okay, who else? We got Coach, soon to be Dr. Philip Williams in the house, my brother from another mother. Yes, honey. He is working on his PhD, and this guy right here has a story that will change your life. I'm just saying. We got my little boo, my sis, Tiandra Grant in the house. What's up? She's in the house. And listen, she's not little. This woman just stepped out into her teaching ministry. Okay. But anybody under the age of 30 is my baby. So anywho, well, listen, I am not going to delay any further. I want to introduce you to somebody very, very special. She is my colleague. She's my coach. She's my prayer partner. But most importantly, she's my friend and my sister. I want to introduce you to founder, CEO, and publisher, Kimberly DeShields-Spencer. Y'all give it up for Kimberly. Good morning, Kimberly.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you guys for having me on here.
Hey, Kim.
Hey, Pastor Andy.
So glad you're here. I'm so excited about today.
Oh, thank you. I'm excited to be here with both of you guys.
Well, Kim is she is a serial entrepreneur. She is an award-winning founder and CEO of, count it, 4 companies. I'm not talking about companies that are like retired and in the background. I'm talking about companies that are forging a path right this minute. 4. I want to shout out her husband, Mr. Charlie Spencer, who is the magic behind the scenes.
Yes.
This man is incredible. One day we're going to invite him in to talk about his vision, because I know he's got some things going on too. Okay, we're going to pull him in. Kim is founder of You Impact, a branding company. I'm going to let her kind of talk about the details. So Reap Harvest, which is a subscription company, which we are partners in. I use So Reap Harvest for all of my client gifts. And I'm telling you guys, if you're not following Kim in these places, you should be. And she is also CEO and publisher of Behind Her Brand magazine, now featured in Barnes and Noble.
Yeah.
I know her. Okay,
That's exactly right.
Anyway, and then also You Impact Publishing Group. I am so excited to share that Kim is going to be publishing my first book.
Yes.
Come on. Come on.
Okay, we got a lot to talk about. Kim, it is such a pleasure to have you. Would you just kind of fill in the blanks? Tell us a little bit about yourselves and how you serve in these various companies.
Oh, well, first and foremost, obviously, I'm a wife. I'm a mother to 2 kids. I have a 14-year-old and nearly 3-year-old. So, yeah, life is busy.
Wow.
But also managing the different 4 businesses. And I will share with you, even in doing the different companies we're doing, those happened over a span of 26 years. God just kind of kept adding and adding to the things that he called me to do. So, so I run the marketing company. And then that sped into the publishing company, which we love to help people birth their stories. And then we love doing So Reap Harvest, like as you mentioned, it's a subscription box service where we can pour into people. I believe wholeheartedly in sowing and reaping and harvesting. That is at the core of everything that I am. And of course, Behind Her Brand, which is actually accumulation of all 3 companies. It's about story, it's about seeding, it's about harvesting, and it's about sharing the journey. So all those 4 companies all really fit the core of who I am.
Wow. So incredible. So you're a best-selling author, you're a philanthropist, you also have a podcast.
Yes.
You are sought after by some of the most important brands in the country. You train and you speak. You have your own set of workshops and events for leaders and that sort of thing. You're a wife and a mom. I know you serve the community. I know you're active in your church. Just one quick question. When do you sleep?
I was waiting for it. I'm exhausted. I'm just exhausted trying to do 2 things. And I'm like, she knows something I need. That's all I'm saying.
No, surprisingly, I actually get good sleep.
So we need to have like a separate, when we have our conference, I'm giving a shameless plug, because we're going to be launching a conference that's going to be in person. Kim is going to have, she's going to have a half a day, and she's just going to come and just tell us step by step how she does these things, because I don't understand. And I've known Kim a long time, and I read her bio, and I feel like a slacker.
Oh no.
I don't know about y'all, but anyway, we're here to talk about a really important topic. And when we were putting together the calendar and just trying to figure out who is it that really can speak into this, because I know your story, I felt like you were the right person for this. Our topic today is what to do when you don't feel supported. So for just kicks and giggles, for those of you that are following us in the feed, or maybe you're on replay, you're watching this on replay, I just want you to jump in the chat. And if you have ever felt, when it came to your vision, that you were not supported, I just want you to drop into the chat and just give me an emoji, a hands up, a fire, a sweat brow, whatever. Drop an emoji if that's ever happened to you. I just want to know if I'm all by myself here. But let me know. We've got Shay Houston in here.
Yeah,
Another power player. Yes, she's a whole thing. She's a whole vibe. But if you have ever felt that way, if you're in the chat, drop it in the chat. If you have ever felt like you had a vision, something inside of you that God had planted, and you've not felt like you had the support that you expected, wanted, or needed, drop something in the chat just to let us know, like, we're not by ourselves. Okay. Kim, you've got this amazing husband. You have an amazing team. You have connections and networks like I've never seen. So surely you have always felt over your 26 years like you had the support that you needed, surely.
No. I wish that was the case. And oftentimes my team and I will tell you, sometimes the support that people see outwardly is not the support that you get realistically. Okay. And I'm not saying that we're never grateful for that, but grateful for people showing up, outwardly. But to me, what really counts is the people that show up on the day-to-day, the behind the scenes, when things are not going 100% right. You'll find oftentimes those become like really few, because it's different, congratulating someone, but it's different walking with someone, when things are not going 100%. And so I've had those moments, and those are the moments that really have grounded me in more ways than I probably have wanted to, but I'm grateful for it. Yeah.
Wow. You said there's a difference between somebody congratulating you and say that again, because my brain is still.
Well, I just feel there's something different when someone's congratulating you and then someone walking with you. Because Karen, something that I've learned, and I'm sure both of you guys have experienced, it's great for the glory, right? It's great when things are wonderful, but when things are not going right and you want to reach out and say, hey, can you kind of help me through this or walk me through this? Sometimes people are not equipped, or they're not meant to walk with you in those seasons. And I realized over my few years, the years I've been doing in business, you really got to be equipped to walk with somebody, go through the journey of building and growing, because it's not always pretty and it's not always easy, Yeah.
Okay.
Let me ask you a question, Kimberly, because it sounds like you just really unearthed something that I think gets misinterpreted and misunderstood. Just hearing that makes me kind of see it in these terms. And I wonder if you could just unpack this a little bit further, but it almost seems like there's a difference between affirmation and investment.
Yes.
And being able to being able to assess somebody who is about investment at affirmation, because I think sometimes, can you maybe unpack how you've walked through this? Because not everybody affirms you, or who affirms you, or as you say, congratulates you, should get a voice in your ear, or right?
I wholeheartedly believe that. And to me, one of the biggest distinction for me is the people that reach out and say, hey, how are you doing? Hey, do you need anything? Like, those are the people, if they're publicly saying, hey, congratulations, I'm all there for you. But then privately, they're reaching out saying, how can I show up for you? Where do you need me to be? Like, to me, it's active. It's people who I can visibly say, okay, you actually care about me, not so much with the things you see around me, but you care about me. And so that to me is more intentional. I've had many people that are amazing, like I said, who will congratulate. And if I reach out, I may not hear nothing from them until the next accomplishment is posted. And so I've learned over time not to so much take that personally, but to say, you know what, I appreciate both sides of it. I appreciate, thank you for, congratulating me from the position that you choose to be in. But I'm also even more grateful for the people that said, let me walk with you on those nights when nothing seems to be going right. I appreciate that more. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. That's so good. There's this, it reminds me of actually something that Pastor Leslie, who is married to Pastor Andy, she is one of the mothers of our house at Influencers Kennesaw, but she is also one of my best friends and one of the mothers of Rock Your Vision. She talks about this concept of knowing who your six is. So Pastor Leslie, I know you're listening somewhere. I'm just setting you up. I'm giving you a little nudge, okay? A little reminder. But this idea that, not everybody who runs with you is for you, right? And becoming that trusted person, having that trusted person is something that you earn over time.
Yeah.
Right. We got to tackle that separately, but I want to dig into this for just a minute, and talk a little bit about your journey.
Yeah.
Personally, your testimony. Now I know that would take a whole day to really get into it, but can you talk a little bit about your journey from where you started to where you are? Because I really want to speak to the heart of that person who really believes that they have something in them, but maybe they've been through some things. Because when you've been through some things, even for the most vision-driven, ambitious, focused person, it can wind you.
Yeah.
Like when you don't feel like you have support, or the support that is meaningful for you, it can just make you say, you know what, I'm out.
Yeah.
Or it can wound you to the point that, you know, you nurse what the enemy is whispering to your soul.
Yeah.
You remember what happened the last time you trusted somebody? Well, you know, this is just, it's for other people. It's not for you.
Right.
Talk about kind of that journey and what you do to silence the whispers of the enemy when he tries to speak to you about having support.
You know, my first real encounter with this was when I started business when I was 19 years old, and I was working with professional speakers and helping them, you know, get out there and things. And I did that for a number of years, and it was growing to where it was depleting me because of obviously the volume of the work, but also I was being young, chasing the affirmation, if you will, or even the validation from all of them to say that I was good, I'm doing a great job, and all those type of things. And over time, I just started to realize I was losing who I was. If something didn't go right for a speaker, I took that so personally. If it was going good for a speaker, I took that very personally. It was like constant emotional roller coaster until the point that I was burnt out completely. And I remember the day when I said, I can't do this anymore. I just feel like I'm living for other people. I'm living for their constant validation, their constant, you're doing a great job, all those kind of things. And so I decided also too that I needed to flip my business model. I needed to flip what I was doing. I needed to shift, if you will, the paradigm. And when I did that, it was because I found the scripture, Colossians 3:23, and to this day it has been my foundation scripture, where it says that everything we do is unto him. And I realized that everything I was doing was unto man. Everything I was doing was to please them and to feed them and to, grow them. And I had to realize, no, I need to do it unto him. And when I do it unto him, it helps ground me, Karen and Pastor Andy, whenever I'm going through something. Yeah. And so when I shifted that, everything started to shift. And it doesn't mean my road was easy at all. I still have my ups and downs. But even in the worst of the moments, I always remember, I'm not doing this for other people per se. And I get it, we're helping people we're called to do. But if I got so caught up in the public applause, I got so caught up in the support, if I got so caught up in all of that, then I'm not doing it for the right reasons. So I stay grounded with that scripture. I keep saying to God all the time, I'm doing it for you. I'm doing it for you. And when I do that, it shifts my thought process. That let me take my eyes off of the actions of somebody. And it allows me sometimes, honestly, to be compassionate and to be more understanding and realize some people may not even realize, how they're showing up in your life, So I think when you take your eyes off of that and really keep your eyes on what it's supposed to be about, it helps in those low moments. It just does. It helps sometimes just to kind of walk through them.
Yeah. Pastor Andy preached about this, not this past Sunday, but the Sunday before. And Pastor Andy, if you could just speak into this for a minute, because I think you had a real word on this. And you said, you were talking about, lots of times you'll hear people say, my ministry or my business or my vision or whatever. And we say, rock your vision with the understanding that God gave us the vision, right? We're rocking the vision God gave us. But can you talk to that a little bit, Pastor Andy, about what you meant by that? Because I think that was such fire when you remember that the vision is given by God to you. Yeah. So getting your eyes distracted on who's around you, even sometimes when it's your booze and the people that are closest to you, you can trip yourself up feeling wounded and hurt and limping through life because you forgot who the vision belongs to. Can you talk to that, Pastor Andy?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Kimberly, you're like taking a thought from last week and marrying it to another thought, and it's interesting, Karen. Of the two, when we've relaunched Rock Your Vision, of the two powerhouse leaders we've had speak into this, they both have identified that who you listen to has got to rise above the crowd around you. And because if what I believe in, if what I'm been driven by is just in me, it's not enough. It's got to be something greater than me. It's got to be someone greater than me. And so I think when you talk about Kimberly, that idea of I'm not chasing, and I wrote this down, chasing the validation. This idea of I need the community or the crowd to keep me moving in the direction, and instead of someone or something greater than me driving me, so the crowd does not become where I look for the cues, but the one greater than me. I think that's when you realize it's not your vision, so to speak. It's a vision that you cannot not do because it's of greater value and greater worth in your own life. And so I think we see that all through, for us, and I love that Colossians passage. I think you see that through the plumb line of all the scriptures. When people caught on to this is bigger than me, but I can't not do it. That's why it keeps driving me in the discouragement and the defeats. And Kimberly, can you just again? I know we talked about this briefly, but do you think that's what drives the discernment of who to listen to and who not to listen to in those moments of brokenness and discouragement, or when you're looking to kind of get back on your feet? Do you think knowing what drives your vision becomes the kind of fine tuner to who you listen to and who you don't listen to?
I think so, 100%. I think when you're grounded in your vision and you're grounded in knowing that voice, you tend to, in my personal opinion, in those moments when it's kind of, when things are struggling a little bit, you tend to attract the people that can speak into you a little bit differently. You'll know the differences of the voices.
Wow.
People that tend to talk to you from a place of staying where you are, and those who can speak into the vision of where you need to be. Like there's a very big difference in that. Like even when I look at
unpack that a little further, because that right there is, I think that's like a 1%er that removes the chaff, removes the noise. Can you just dive into that just for a moment?
Yeah, definitely. And if I can, I like to use you two as an example. I've seen it. I've seen the different changes Karen's even gone to in birthing what she's birthing. But I also realized she wasn't talking to a lot of people, but she would always mention you, Pastor Andy, faithfully, because she knows that you not only see where she is, but you also can see where she needs to be. And that's only given because God has given that to you. So when you're connected to people that can see beyond your circumstances and they can speak into that, confirmation comes with scripture, prayer. Like, you get those messages, out of the blue, like, hey, God put this on my heart to share with you. Those are the vision extenders. Those who can say, you know what, I can help you walk through this. And I think that's how you divide the shaft, if you will. The other side of it are typically people who are trying to, like, say you're going through some type of ups and downs, and they're speaking into the drama. They're speaking into the headache. They're speaking into, maybe you should give up. Maybe you should pause. Maybe this is not for you. Those are the people I will immediately cut off and love them from afar, still be, friends, but, to say, you know what, I don't need that voice in my ear. I need somebody who's going to help me extend the vision that God has given to me. So
you just said speaking into the drama.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And
the sad thing is I don't think some people really realize they do that when they're saying that. And it reminds me of, if it's okay if I share this, like, in the parable of Job, his friends, they came in there with well intentions, but then they started speaking and he was like, wait a minute, and it's so easy to almost feel familiar with that type of conversation until he had to realize, you know what, this is not what I need in this moment. I need something different. But oftentimes it comes in the form of friendship, family, and people that are close to us. And that's why I think it's a small percentage that can help us extend the other direction.
So we just got started and I'm like wrecked. So, one of the most important things I learned was you have to allow the Holy Spirit to speak to you about who's around you. And that, friends, takes time.
Oh yeah.
Right? Not everybody who says they're your boo is your boo. And I get in trouble using that phrase, but I think y'all know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's a difference between, hey, it's good to see you, hey, and hey, come on into that inner circle and let me tell you my dreams, and let me share with you my vulnerabilities, and let me share my ideas and things like that. Because not everybody can handle it. I want to just share a couple of things, because we're already pushing on time. And Pastor Andy, I think I'm gonna have to let you roll with it, roll with the conversation. But there are a few things that I wanted to just impart. I'm going to share these. I'm going to drop them, and it's going to wreck you. But just let me get through them, and then I'm going to let Pastor Andy run with it from here. Because if you get a hold, for those of you that are watching live, you're watching on replay, if you get a hold of these power plays, it will be a game changer for your energy around your vision, for your resilience around your vision, for your attitude around your vision. And I will warn you, some of you are going to go all in, and some of you are going to be mad at me. And I need you to be mad. I need you to sit in it, because these are the things that change my life. I went from feeling wounded and being I didn't even like myself when I started in this vision walk. I went from that to being laser focused. I went from that and having everybody around you and listen, everybody around me and listening to everything everybody was saying, to being very selective about who I shared with. Okay, I'm gonna drop these, and I'm gonna stay on for a minute, and then Pastor Andy's gonna close us out. But anyway, here we go. Write down what support feels like. When you say, I feel like I don't have any support, what does that mean? What does it mean? Write down what support feels like. Okay. What does it feel like to be supported? And what does it feel like to be supported by whom? Here's the thing. If you have a vision, if you have a God-given vision, that means that your vision has to impact more than you and yours. Stop expecting your cousins and your sisters and stop expecting them to understand. The reality is God gave the vision to you. That means you got to carry it, right? When I go to the airport, when my son was little, I carried his little boo-boo bag and his little snack bag and all like that. My son is 6 foot beautiful right now at 13 years old. And guess what? He's got to carry his own stuff, right? God gave you the vision. Stop asking everybody else to carry your vision. Learn to recognize toxic, controlling, and abusive behavior and get help. And get help. If you've got somebody who is emotionally abusive, or who withholds things from you, or tries to isolate you away from godly counsel and godly community, get help. We'll talk about that in the after show. Discover the sound of your own voice. And then ask for courage and wisdom on how to use it. Okay, I'm going to help somebody today. Being wounded and weepy may get you attention for the moment, but that eventually wears out.
I heard you.
I'm sorry. I apologize in advance. Here we go. Be willing to set boundaries for others and yourself. And wait for it. Here's where I think some people are going to drop off on this one. And be willing to accept and respect the boundaries that others put on you.
That's right.
Wow.
Come on.
Be willing. Here we go. Next one. Be willing to check your agenda and your attitude. Because you can't walk with a vision, sweetheart, and have an attitude and have a chip on your shoulder. I say this to my leaders all the time in my corporate practice. Be careful that people are not paying more attention to how you're saying what you're saying versus what you're saying.
Come on.
Because if you walk in the door rolling your neck every time you want something or you need something and that sort of thing, you need to check your motives. I'm just saying. Now, this is for vision-driven leaders who are believers, honey. I'm just saying. This is rock solid. You can take this to the bank. Identify where you need to grow and mature. That's the next one. Build a community that's equipped to give you the support that you need.
Yeah.
For the longest time, I was looking to my husband to help me on the tech side. I was looking to, Sally and Susie and all these people to pour into me. I needed to invest in my vision. Listen to me. If you do not invest in your vision, I'm not just talking about time. I'm not just talking about your talents. I'm talking about your resources.
Yeah.
You cannot build a vision on air.
That's true.
Okay. Okay. Set realistic timelines. You're trying to get everything done. I was trying to get everything done. Okay, I'm going to do this. 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 No, beloved, you have to have a strategy. That means there are some things you're going to need to do first, some things you're going to need to do second, and so on and so forth over the long term. And let me just say this, just to kind of seal it with a kiss. The Holy Spirit is not schizophrenic. God does not speak and then come back and say, oh, I didn't mean that. I didn't actually mean that. That's not the way he works. That's not my business. I'm going to let Pastor Andy handle that one. Y'all talk to him. Okay.
That's right.
Here's the next one. Keep your promises.
Yeah.
Keep your promises.
Yeah.
And if you can't keep your promises, follow up. Follow up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's the next one. You're welcome. Learn the difference between feedback that is fear-based and feedback that is Holy Spirit inspired.
That's good.
I mentioned this earlier. You don't have to listen to everybody. And let me just be real clear. Just because somebody's doing this or just because somebody's used to doing this doesn't mean you have to let them keep starting. Sometimes you need to set that boundary up front and say, thank you so much. Listen, I'm good.
Yeah.
Right?
Come on.
Last set of ones. Resist the temptation to hold people accountable for things they were never designed to do. Such as be a therapist. Don't hold people responsible for things they were never designed to do, such as tolerate your bad moods or unhealthy behaviors. You're welcome. Heal things for you that are more appropriate for your therapist or for God. Read your mind. You got to know what you need. Don't hold people responsible for being responsible for the vision God gave you. Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Finally, don't hold people responsible for respecting boundaries that you allow them to move. And with that, I'm just going to open the floor for stones or Pastor Andy. I want you to process what I just said, and I'm going to let you just roll with it with Kim. I'm going to step off for a minute, y'all, but Pastor Andy's going to close it out because he's got a few things to say.
Hey, thank you, Karen. Man, I think one of the things before you go, I think we need to take some of those points you made today and build whole episodes around it, because I think there's some things that we need to deep dive in. But thank you so much for that. And thank you so much for taking the time to unpack that. Hey, Kimberly, can we just take this a little bit going into the direction of a couple points she made? I think you had really alluded to some things. One of it is what does support look like? I think from the beginning, someone writing that down, you made a statement, and I want to go back to it because I think this is where we can piggyback. And I'd love to hear kind of how you navigated this. You said people speaking into your drama. I wrote this down when I heard you say that. I heard silence the voices that speak into your drama. and tune your ear to the voices that speak into your vision.
Yeah.
So can you just talk about, when you talk about what this support looked like, talk a little bit more into how did you navigate those voices?
Yeah.
And how did you, because again, I think it piggybacks with boundaries, setting boundaries. But there's a certain level of confidence you have to make those. Hey, I'm going to listen to her. I'm not going to listen to her. I'm going to listen to him. They're good people. They've been friends for years. Can you talk about that just a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. You know, when I started to learn, Pastor Andy, to separate that, when I used to listen to people that weren't helping me to grow, they're helping me to stay stuck. You know, like whenever you're going through something, whether it's good, bad, or what have you, and you know, it's easy for us to vent because we just kind of need to get it out there. But if someone is feeding into it and not allowing me to see it from a more constructive view, or allow me to say, you know what, Kim, have you ever considered your own actions? Have you ever thought about this? Like helping me through it versus complimenting me through it. You know, I've learned there's people that do that because they want to support in their own way, but it doesn't help me to move forward. So whenever I started to learn, okay, God, I need to be able to vent, but in a way that's healthy, in a way that someone can help me put a mirror to my own face. Because I want that. I can take constructive feedback. And I want people to help me to grow in the same ways I would want to do that for them. So I started to meet different people that would do that. That when something arises, the first reaction isn't reactionary. Oftentimes it's like, let's pause, let's kind of think it through, let's kind of, you know, dissect it. That was a totally different kind of approach. And so I've learned to learn the difference between the two of them. Someone that can say, let me hear your heart, but not let me jump in and say, girl, you're right. Oh, I wouldn't talk to them no more. I would do all of that kind of stuff isn't helpful for me. Like I need someone that helps encourage me to keep going forward no matter what, to help me see my blind spots. And so that's how I had to learn that it's like a Red Sea moment. You have these people over here who, there you go. But over here are the people I want who can really see my vision and help me keep going forward.
So according to that, I think you're saying there's a difference between venting and processing.
Yes.
And you need to make sure you know who you vent to, who you process to. Is it possible, and I know I'm kind of throwing you kind of on the spot here, but is it possible to maybe identify some of the characteristics between venting and processing? Because if you vent, I think either Coach Karen said this or you said this, or I think you both said it uniquely. Venting will isolate you even further from people because there's not enough bandwidth people have to carry you when you're not standing on your own 2 feet, right? So can you talk about the characteristics between venting and processing?
You know, for me, I think it's kind of rooted in the intention of your heart. Because there's sometimes where we're human. Sometimes somebody may make us upset, or a situation may just be like, I need to get this out. But when you're venting to someone that can just take it and they don't, like I said, add to it in a negative way, that's different. So the intention behind it to me is a little different. So if I can vent and say, okay, I'm going through this person made me upset, to someone that can say, okay, I heard what you had to say, but have you considered this? To me, that's become something that's where processing steps in, versus someone saying, girl, I heard so-and-so say this about this person too. And then they start carrying on something different that is unproductive. And I'll be the first to be transparent. I've had moments in the past where you get caught up in that, where you're like, oh, I didn't know that. And then all of a sudden you find yourself in a tailspin. So now what started as one thing, now you're forming an opinion about somebody, about a situation that you weren't even a part of. You know, so I realized I don't want that in my ear because I don't want to be a party to that. So if I'm venting to someone, I try to vent to safe places. So that way I can grow and I won't stay stuck in a mindset that's not healthy.
Yeah. So that's really good, because when Coach Karen talked about toxic controlling behaviors, this is something that I think is so important to vision killing.
Yes.
Is that toxic behaviors, controlling behaviors actually kill your vision. Yeah. And actually that venting could lead almost to a bit of a wound and offense if people don't appreciate you or help you. And yet you could be the one kind of isolating yourself from them because you've allowed this toxic behavior. So you said something, you said, find someone that when you vent, they actually help you shift to process.
Yes. Yes.
And so in that, I think it's important for people to know. And again, how do you identify those that won't speak into the drama, speak into the vision? So you almost need a group of people around you that are more committed, or more is probably not the right word, as committed to the vision in you that even will help you not sabotage your own vision.
I love that. 100%. Because I think when someone really knows you and they know who you are, they can speak into you differently than someone that maybe doesn't have that time invested in you. And something else I want to point out too, like, sometimes when we go through, whether you're building whatever it is you're building your life, and you're going to encounter different situations. I think at the end of the day, one of the things that I have learned, I don't want someone to keep me in a place where I don't grow. I just don't want that, because that's stagnation. And that can also hurt your vision. It can hurt your view of people. You know how it's so easy if someone can do one thing to you, and all of a sudden it becomes like everybody can do that same thing to you. It's like a cancer when you stay around people that constantly put you in a place where you do not grow, and they constantly love to feed into things that don't further your vision. And so I just learned over time, and it wasn't easy. My lesson, I've had a lot of bumps and bruises. I've had people I thought were going to help, with the vision and what have you. But over time, you start really becoming attuned. And for me, Pastor Annie, I don't know if this is the same for you, but you also can see the difference of the two people, or two sides of people, by how they live their life, the conversations that they have, and how they show up when you see situations happen to them. How are they processing that? And that, to me, also is another story that can be told in terms of how you invite the venting and the processing to whomever you choose to share that with.
Yeah. So it's interesting. As a child, I think Karen talked about this, about walking through the airport, carrying Jimmy through the airport. And now that he's older, he's be careful who you allow access to your vision, because your vision is almost like your child.
Yes.
And whoever you give access to can harm or help. And if there ever is a misunderstanding of what my role is in this relationship with your vision, if there is ever a misunderstanding, and I think it's important for people maybe to back up, I think for all of us, and say, the person that I've invited into the conversation can either push me into a deeper island or a deeper hole, or they can keep me constantly tracking down the right path. And those are rare and special people. And you said this, and I think for everyone to be encouraged, because my first response is to be like, all right, I'm going to make a list. I'm going to make a list of all the people. Sometimes I got it wrong when I made a list. You said it took years. And so can you speak to what you did when you recognized that's not a healthy relationship? I need to separate, versus, because you said it took time. And I think getting over, I should have known better, or I've given permission for so long, now I can't tell them not to. Can you just talk for just another moment on how maybe once you realized I've got to do something about this, how you handled that and what you did? Because relationships are tricky business.
They are. And, I think, for me personally, one of the things that I had to realize was, some people, as you're growing, not everybody grows with you. And so even in that, the relationships, when I started to grow, I realized my conversations were different with them. My interactions were different. And I started to create boundaries that sometimes they didn't realize I was creating. I would talk to them about, their life, and they'll talk to me, but I realized there's only so far I'm going to go. But I didn't want to always cut people out of my life per se, but I just didn't invite them into the parts where God was growing me into, because I knew that wasn't for them to be a part of that process. So I can still ask them how their day is. I can still show up for them. I didn't judge them for not being able to be that person for me, in a sense. So I just learned to navigate that and nurture the relationship still, but just not invite them into the parts that were not designed for them to be a part of.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so good. And the courage to do that is the vision demands it, right?
Yes.
And so I think, and kind of piggybacking off of that, and if you were to give someone who feels incredibly lonely right now in their vision, dare I say, they don't even almost want to talk about it anymore, because they feel, I don't know if you've ever gotten there, but you're like, I don't even want to talk about this vision. This is almost the thing that inspired me now is miserable to me. If you would speak to someone right now, because you've been through all those emotions, what would be one, and maybe you can't, if it's two or three, it's fine, but what would be one tip you could say to address that space they're in right now, almost giving up because they feel so isolated, so lonely? What would you say if you could just give them a jolt in the arm?
Yeah. You know, I know that there's a classic saying, remember your why. But I'm not going to say that necessarily. What I did in those moments, honestly, is I went before God and I said, God, remind me of my passion. Remind me of what feels good about this vision. Remind me, send me something. And anytime I ask him just to refill my cup up, because I used to try to get it from the outside. And as you just shared very beautifully, a lot of times you can't, you feel even more lonely because people can't feel what God is supposed to feel.
Yeah.
So I would often say, just fill me up. And oftentimes, Pastor Andy, sometimes I'll get an email from someone from the past that I helped. I will get a card in the mail, and he has never failed to remind me of this is why, and that feeling of, okay, it's kind of like that, like a drink of water, saying, okay, that gives me a little bit more to keep going. And then when I get to that point, I just really and truly just kind of stay present with where I'm at in that moment. And then I start thinking about, okay, what about this is making me feel lonely? What am I doing? Like, do I need to be around different kind of people? Because sometimes loneliness comes because you're not around the right people anymore, because you've outgrown that circle. You know, sometimes it might be that you're doing the same things, but you're not tapping into the newness of what you could be birthing. So for me, sometimes, and people know this very much about me, every quarter I go away for a week. I go away for my family, my kiddos and husband, and I go and I just create and I dream and I keep my vision before me. I keep the creativity before me, and it keeps me in a place of being fueled. And even if you can't do a week, do a day, you know, turn everything off and just say, let me just have fun again with my vision, with my seed, like really spending that time to be creative. And I think sometimes we don't allow ourselves the freedom of creativity and to be able to be in that space.
Yeah. So let me just recap. Like, that was a lot of gold right there, Kimberly. I'm just be honest. Number one is you gotta have something that reminds you of your why. So and it's got to be outside of you. So I love how you're just fully honest about your relationship with the Father and God. And so for you, it's like, I got to go to God and say, God, remind me, because the noise and the loneliness has made me forget.
Yes.
And I think that's important for all of us on here that really believe you have a vision that is something you cannot not do. For us, we say God-given vision is that there are going to be seasons where that's going to be challenged. And the only one that can encourage you is the one that gave it to you. And so you got to go back. And so I love that. Start with something bigger than yourself. Once you get that why reminded, I think it's so great. I get an email, I get a reminder from somebody, something happened. It's like, all right, thank you. It's water to my soul here. The second thing you said is then identify if maybe some of that loneliness is because you're hanging out with the wrong people. You like, not everybody's equal, and you and I don't have the time to give everybody equal time for the vision. I think sometimes we feel guilty that the vision demands something from us, right?
Yes. Because you want to be there for everybody. You know, I would say definitely we're both servant leaders. We love to serve people, but we can't serve everybody in the ways that they may want. So I agree with that 100%.
So I just think that's such a nugget. Loneliness may not be because you're isolated. It may be because you're surrounded by the wrong people. I mean, that's just so good. And then the last thing you said is every quarter you take time away. And if you can't take a week, take a day, because creativity needs space. You need space. And so I think this is important, as I think we would call this as one of our strongest power plays. I love that these 3 power plays today is you got to have something greater than you, someone. We would say God remind you of the why. The second thing is you got to identify maybe your loneliness is not the absence of time with people. It's just the wrong people. You're spending time with the wrong people. And the wrong people could be, I love how you said this, speaking into your drama instead of speaking into the vision. And then the third thing is you've got to schedule out time for yourself, for creativity and for refreshing to come in to where you literally unplug from everything. Because the fuel for your vision doesn't come from the work itself. That's the one last thing I think is important. I've heard this before from what you've obviously been able to accomplish through, your hard work and just obedience to the vision. would you say that you cannot be refueled by the work you do, that refueling has to come even outside of that? Would that be appropriate to say that?
100%.
And to know that maybe sometimes you're going so focused in what you're doing that it's actually taking it away from you. So just one last thing, I think, for our time, and I really appreciate your time. That week away, that day away, that's not a luxury. That's a necessity.
Yeah, it is. It's, one thing I realize is the work itself, if people are very honest, is not always fun. There's a lot of elements to building that just is not necessarily life-giving. And so for me, getting away is allowing me to be a better wife and a mom, honestly. So because there is so many different components to what I do. And so I'm so grateful my family gives me that space, because I have to go there, and it allows me to kind of create and put things in place and to plan, so that I can come back refreshed and come back with things in place. But it's a necessary thing to do, because the work itself may not always fuel you. That's why you must have something outside of you that will fill you up. You must have that.
Come on.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time. I'm telling you, if you've been watching this whole time, or you're going to be watching back on the replay, these past 2 weeks, we have already addressed that the greatest challenge and the greatest opportunity lies in yourself. You got to lead yourself, and you got to have the courage to do so. Kimberly, I'm telling you, these nuggets, I'm still going to unpack for a while this idea of speaking into drama, people speaking into drama, even the psychology behind how that makes me feel in the moment, but what it robs me for my future. I just think that was such a powerful statement. And then these power plays, I just want to say thank you. It's just kind of as a wrap up, if you just kind of had a just something to leave our viewers with, something that this helps them kind of shift into an unstuck place, into a thriving place. Could you just give us just a little bit of a summary push as we continue to jumpstart our week and go after it?
If you haven't spent time with your vision, like really and truly date your vision in a while, do that. Spend some time. Remember how fun it is. Remember the rewards that people who are going to be attached to it are going to get, the people that you're pouring into. Like, spend time with it. Be creative in it. And in those moments that you're doing that time, don't bring nothing that doesn't need to be into it in those moments. Just spend time enjoying it, creating, having fun with it. And if nothing else, make it a priority to make sure you have people that are going to help support your vision.
Oh man, I love that. I just wrote this down. As much as you spend time making date nights, and you need to make a date night with your vision. You need to spend time with your vision. I love that. So thank you so much. And hey, everyone, thank you so much for jumpstarting your week with us. As you know, Karen always says this: you have way more options than you realize. Don't give up. Don't stop moving forward. Let's keep pushing, because the vision, as we've clearly heard today, and as we're reminded every week, the vision is greater than you, but it requires you. Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.